welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Kayla and I am a full-time substance abuse therapist in an intensive outpatient program. And today's video is essentially going to be me sitting down and telling you what my days are normally like as a substance abuse therapist. I wanted to do this vlog style initially, but I realized how hard it was because of confidentiality, HIPAA, all of that. So I figured this would be the next best thing. So I'm going to go through, explain the program a little bit to you guys, the population I serve, and some things that I would probably do on a typical day-to-day basis. So as always, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell so that you're notified whenever I upload. And let's get right into the video. So first thing is first, like I said, I am a substance abuse therapist. I am in intensive outpatient. So I serve adults, male and female, so ages 18 on up, who have comorbid substance use disorders and mental health issues. So my particular patients have group Monday through Friday from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. They have their individual sessions. There's other things they can do, such as like the biofeedback bags, stuff like that. I go into work at 1 p.m. and I am done at about 9:30, 9:45. Really busy days, maybe 10:30. But for the most part, my schedule is from 1 to 9:30. So I'm just going to take you along through my day and what my day would normally look like. So when I get to work at 1 o'clock, I log into my computer, check my emails. We have like a Zoom account where we have any issues that may arise with utilization and our patient's insurance. We have a flight risk channel, so if any patients are an AMA risk, that will pop up. And then we have a channel that is just for the therapist, so we talk about what groups were ran throughout the day. At 1:15, we have PM staffing, so myself and my colleague, it's only one other IOP therapist. We meet with my clinical director and executive director. Sometimes our director of operations is in that meeting and someone from our intake department. And we talk about any hot spots that we had from the night before. So any issues that may have arisen with the patients that we want to staff with our clinical and executive director. And the intake person is there to let us know if we have any intakes or assessments that need to be completed. Our patients do what's called a Track 9 survey. And that survey lets us know what their cravings are like, how their depression, their anxiety is, what their quality of life is like. So they do that once a week, and she also tells us which patients need to complete Track 9 surveys for the night. So that's pretty much what the PM staffing is about. We just talk about all of the issues that may have occurred the night before. Sometimes we don't have any hot spots. Sometimes we have really good news to share, like a patient got into sober living, they got a job. So that's pretty much what staffing looks like. Let me go back a little bit. So our patients stay in our program for 30 days or about 4 weeks. And then we discharge them and they get referrals to an outpatient therapist, sober living, whatever their next move is. If they are on a medication-assisted treatment, such as the Vivitrol injection, which is an anti-craving medication, we can step them down to what is called a continued care. So they can come in once a week, they can come in once a month. The minimum is once a month, and they can come in and attend like a half a group session. They can come in for a one-on-one session. It could be a telecounseling session. They just have to come in that minimum of once a month in order to get their Vivitrol injection from our nurse practitioner. They can also receive their medications from our nurse practitioner. Otherwise, our facility has a psychiatrist that they work closely with that we can give them paperwork for, and they can fill it out. So after our PM staffing, now this is going to depend, so I'm just go through the different things that we can do in a day. So I may have an assessment that needs to be done. So an assessment, if they are coming from one of our other facilities, so we have a detox facility. If they are coming from another one of our facilities in our networks, we do what's called a psychosocial update form, and that's just what has occurred within the past 30 days while you were at this facility, any medication changes, any new diagnoses, and a little history about what their substance use was like, any social environmental changes, things like that. We always suicide screen our patients. So they come in, we do a CSSRS. And if they are a moderate or high risk for suicide, we go and we call it a full suicide assessment. And then we also have them do a safety plan. We will do a case management note with them. So that's looking at, do they need any case management services in regards to legal issues? Because some of our patients come in with legal issues. They may have upcoming court dates, things like that. Do they need any case management with their job? Are they on FMLA, short-term disability? Do we need to contact their job? And any other benefits like food stamps, Social Security, anything like that. That is in the case management note. And then we do a orientation note, which is really just saying that the person has started within the program. And then we also do an admit ASAM. So an ASAM is a document that we fill out, and I will put something on the screen that kind of describes the different dimensions of the ASAMs. But we have an admit ASAM that we do when they first come in our program, and that is essentially our way of telling insurance they meet these different dimensions and they meet the criteria to be within our program. So we do the admit ASAM, and at the bottom it's like a treatment summary section. So we write in, you know, this person is a 55-year-old Caucasian, fully employed male presenting to our facility for alcohol use disorder. If they're presenting with any pause or post-acute withdrawal symptoms, if they reported a current or past history of suicidal, homicidal ideation or self-injurious behaviors, any legal issues, things like that. That's what goes in the treatment summary of the ASAM. And that is our assessment. Now, if they're a direct admit or they haven't come from one of our facilities, or they've been discharged from our facility for about 3 months, we do a complete biopsychosocial assessment. So we go through everything, their substance use history, how much, how often, the age of onset, how it's compromised their values, any mental health diagnoses, medications. All of that is in the full biopsychosocial assessment. And if they're coming from a different facility, we do it. Or like I said, if they've been discharged from our facility for about 3 months, we will go and do a full biopsychosocial assessment, because a lot of things can change within 3 months. So that is if we have to do an assessment. Going back to ASAMs, so like I said, if they're admitting, we do an admit ASAM. For my program, every 15 days we do a ASAM continued stay. So just like with the admit ASAM, we're telling insurance, hey, they need to be in our program. A continued stay ASAM is essentially saying this person needs to continue coming to treatment. So, you know, it hits dimensions such as they don't have a biomedical condition that's impacting treatment at their time, whether or not they're still experiencing withdrawal symptoms, if they're making any progress in treatment. So that is a continued stay ASAM. And then when they discharge from our facility, part of their discharge paperwork, we do a discharge ASAM. And if they are a completion, so they've completed our program, you know, we'll talk about the progress that they've made and that they are now able to be treated at a lower level of care. If they are administratively discharged, meaning that for whatever reason they needed a higher length of care, or if, you know, they were on a behavioral contract, they violated it, and they're being discharged from our program administratively, those answers are going to change and essentially say, no, they need a higher level of care, or at least this level of care at a different facility, and for whatever reason they did not thrive at our facility. So those are our ASAMs. Next, what I might have to do is either a master treatment plan or a treatment plan review. So a master treatment plan, I have to go in and identify all of their problem areas. So our number 1 is always going to be substance use disorder. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, if they have that many, is whatever different areas they are struggling in. So it may be depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, adult child of an alcoholic, narcissistic traits, you know, whatever else they are struggling with in terms of their recovery, we're throwing that on their master treatment plan. If they scored moderate or high risk on their CSSRS when they first came into our facility, suicidal ideation automatically goes onto that treatment plan, because it is something that we have to work on while they are with us. So a master treatment plan, we go through, so we do like a SNAP, so their strengths, their needs, their abilities, and their preferences. We talk about what some of their goals are post-discharge, and then we have them say like a quote about each problem area. So for substance use disorder, it'll say something like, I've struggled with alcohol for the past 15 years and I can't stop drinking on my own. So that would be like a quote that they would give for us that would go into their master treatment plan. When we do their master treatment plan, we go through it with them. We have them sign it. We sign it. I'll shoot an email to our medical director. He reviews it and he signs it as well. Just like the ASAMs, every 15 days we have to do a treatment plan review. So with that treatment plan review, again, we go through with the patient and we look at what objectives they've attained and what objectives are still ongoing. And we document those, any medication issues, and their services needs and frequency, which usually says something like, you know, patient will continue IOP length of care, a minimum of 3 nights a week, 3 hours a night, continue to attend one-on-one sessions, remain medication compliant, engaging in urinalysis screenings, things like that. And so again, just like with the master treatment plan, we have them sign their treatment plan review and we sign it as well. Every 15 days we are doing a treatment plan review. So depending on the patient and their needs and if they sign consents, we do what is called weekly family contacts. So within the first 72 hours of the patient admitting, as long as they have consented, we will contact whoever their emergency contact is on file, try to get collateral information, see if that person has any questions about our program, see if we can answer anything. Family support, as long as it's positive, is really beneficial for the patient in their recovery, and also a lot of times it gives us extra information that the patient may not have thought would be important, or that they just didn't remember to tell us, things like that. And so we do that within the first 72 hours. After that, we contact the family once a week. We try to do family sessions with our patients. However, sometimes the patients may decline to engage in family sessions for whatever reason, or sometimes family sessions may be contraindicated. So if the patient's family is abusive or their emergency contact is abusive, we may decide not to engage with the family. So the priority is our patient, but we do like to have family involved in treatment as long as it's going to be conducive to the patient's recovery. We like to do or attempt to do family sessions once a week. However, that doesn't always work. Like I said, if the patient says no, if the family schedule doesn't fit in with ours, then we just try to maintain those weekly family contacts so that the family is updated. And depending on how the patient signed their consent, sometimes the only thing we'll say is, you know, the patient is progressing. This is what discharge is going to look like for them. Or, you know, they may have signed a full consent and we can say the patient is doing really well. These are some of the things that we've worked on, things like that. So depending on the type of consent that is signed depends on the information that we're going to give to the family. So like I said in the beginning, our patients come in for a group from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. So the way that we run our groups is the first half of group is from 6 to 7:30, and it's a process group. So it's almost like a peer-led group. So everyone usually goes around, checks in, talks about anything that they may have been struggling with, something good that has come up during the day, just anything they would like peer feedback on, and they go around and everyone does this. So the therapists, we kind of take a step back and let the peers interact with each other as long as it is respectful and healthy. From 7:30 to 7:45, they have a break so they can go out and have a cigarette, or a lot of them have like vape pens. And then from 7:45 until 9 o'clock, we have psychoeducation. So whatever we decide to teach them for the night, whether that's DBT coping skills, whether that's you know, self-care, relapse prevention planning, whatever it is, that will be for psychoeducation. During that group time, so they have to complete a UA twice a week. and one of those UAs gets sent out to the lab just to make sure that everything is negative. And then they're also having an individual session once a week. They can have individual sessions more than that depending on therapist caseload and what they need and what they prefer, but the minimum is once a week for about 45 minutes. I've had sessions that have lasted about an hour and a half if the patient is in crisis. So again, it's really all about patient needs. Like I mentioned, they have a biofeedback bed, so that can help with any anxiety, cravings, back pain, muscle tension. We have light therapy. So those are some of the things that they can do. They just have to sign up for those alternate activities. And when we're doing like their treatment plan reviews, those are usually done within those hours as well. So the way that I would schedule it is, if I have a treatment plan review, I would normally meet with that person for a one-on-one session for that day. Since I already have them in my office for a one-on-one, at the end we go through, take the last 10 minutes to go through their treatment plan review, see if they have any questions, sign it, and that's their one-on-one and treatment plan review. Now, when it comes to discharge, depending on the patient, sometimes they come in with referrals, or they already have outpatient providers, and sometimes they don't. So if we have patients who don't have outpatient providers, or they're looking for new outpatient providers, we get those referrals for them. So we have a business development team, and we reach out to the business development team. We send over our patient's face sheet and say, you know, they're either going back home or they're going to this area. They're looking for these specific referrals. Can you help us out? Business development looks at their face sheet because that's where their insurance is, and business development will say, based on their insurance and the location, this is what's going to be the best referral for them. We give them their referrals so that way they can make those phone calls. If they're nervous or if they're anxious or if they don't know what to say, we can sit down and we can make those phone calls with them as well. But for the most part, they usually do it on their own, and they get those appointments set up post-discharge. Some other miscellaneous things we may have to do throughout the day. So if the patient has legal issues, we may have to contact their probation officer or their attorney. Sometimes we have patients who need a presence in treatment letter. So essentially a letter that's saying this person is in treatment right now. They are in fact getting treatment, just so the courts know, and kind of outlining what kind of treatment they're receiving. If they've received treatment from our higher levels of care, stating that they went through those treatments, the date that they've discharged. Sometimes, you know, we are coordinating with their outpatient providers and sharing information to make sure that we're giving them the best care possible. So that's kind of what I would typically do in a day. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you have a good amount of patients and you have a lot to do at one time, it does start to add up, on top of having to facilitate groups. Of course, after we facilitate groups, we have to do group notes. We have individual progress notes that needs to be done after a one-on-one session. If we have just a conversation with someone, we have to do like what we call a simple progress note. Any family contact or any other contact with any person who has a consent on file has to be updated in a contact note. So everything is documented. All of our documentation is done electronically. So that's the good part, is I type a lot faster than I write, and it's super beneficial for us. The only downside is when they sign things, they do have to sign on the computer with like a mouse. Sometimes we have like the little pad signatures, but those don't always connect to our computer, so sometimes they have to use the mouse, and our older patients are like, can you just sign this for me? And I'm like, all right, if you give me verbal consent, I'll sign it for you. So that's usually how my days go. Sometimes I have 1,000,001 things to do, and sometimes I have a lot of free time and I'm able to do trainings and stuff. So depending on what our census looks like and how many is on my caseload, how much treatment the patient needs. So we have, you know, more, patients who need a little bit more than other patients, and some patients will even decline to do their one-on-one session for the week, especially if there is a really interesting group that they want to engage in. They'll say, hey, can we just do a one-on-one session later, next week? Can we do it earlier in the day, tomorrow, whatever? So that's what my day looks like as a substance abuse therapist. It can be jam-packed, it can be pretty lenient depending on what we have going on. So yes, like I said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments and I will get those answered for you. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel before you leave, and I will see you guys in my next video.